Hey man, it's Joe here from night number 8 at Williams Grove Speedway for Pennsylvania Speedweek 2024. You wouldn't believe it, but we had microphone issues at the track, so we are recording live from Faust HQ, and we're going to go through the recap of what happened at Williams Grove tonight nonetheless, because this microphone can't get in the way of true love. We had 32 cars here for night number 8. In hot laps, the only thing that was really interesting that happened was Ricky Diva, who's making his first appearance of PA Speed Week, started having engine issues in the middle, and that was interesting to see. It was tough for him because it was his first time out. But Troy Wagaman was fastest in hot laps over Brent Marks, Justin Whittle, Mike Walter, and Lucas Wolf. There were 32 cars. That meant we had 2 time trials groups, so they were going to set heats 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4. Time trial group number 1 saw Chad Trout fastest for Randy Wade Racing over Troy Wagaman, Brent Marks, Lucas Wolf, and Lance DeWeese. Time trial group number 2, we saw Ryan Smith having engine trouble. He got to make a time by the end of the session, but he missed his first go, so he only got 1 lap. Anthony Macri was fastest in this group and ended up being fastest overall. Second was Logan Schuchart, TJ Stutz was 3rd, Mike Wagner 4th, and Darren Pittman was 5th. Heat race number 1, Brent Marks on the pole with Lance DeWeese to his outside. We saw Steve Buckwalter and Michael Walter racing for 5th at the very start. They were doing this for about 2 laps. It was a nice little race, and then it went single file the rest of the way. Brent Marks won over Lance DeWeese, Chad Trout, Chase Dietz, and Steve Buckwalter. Heat race number 2 saw Lucas Wolf on the pole with Danny Dietrich starting to his outside, needing points big time to keep in the fight against Anthony Macri. We saw more single file racing in heat race number 2. Only thing really that happened was Skylar G had a great start and tried to make some positions at the very beginning, but pretty much just single file the whole way. Lucas Wolf won over Danny Dietrich, Cameron Smith, Troy Wagaman, and Justin Whittle. After the checkered flag, coming into turn number 1 on the cool down, Troy Wagaman's right rear blew out, and this ended up being very problematic later in the night, but we'll get there in just a second. Heat race number 3 saw TJ Stutz and Darren Pittman on the front row. Anthony Macri was very strong and tried to gain spots at the beginning of the heat race. He was able to get up into 3rd and couldn't quite get to 2nd, and after that point, just more single file racing. Darren Pittman wins over TJ Stutz, Anthony Macri, Ryan Smith, and Ryan Taylor. Heat race number 4 saw Mike Wagner from the pole and Freddie Raymer to his outside. Freddie Raymer took the lead into turn number 1, and there was no turning back. He went flag to flag in this one. There was a nice battle for about 2 laps for the transfer position between Brock Zierfoss, Dylan Norris, and Devin Borden, and that, after it ended, was single file to the end. Freddie Raymer won over Mike Wagner, Logan Schuchart, Cody Hartlob, and Brock Zierfoss got the final transfer. Moving on to the B main, we had to put 4 more cars in this feature event tonight. Mike Walter and Spencer Baston rolling from the front row. Along with Baston, thought it was interesting to note that Devin Borden and Dylan Norris were in the B main tonight. Baston and Walter had a nice back and forth for the first 3 laps of this B main, and also thought it was interesting to note Jesse Addard's performance because he seemed like he was having some trouble with that car. He was kind of all over the place at the tail of the group, but even the same as the heat races, more single file. We saw Michael Walter win the B main over Spencer Baston, Skylar G, and Devin Borden got the final transfer. In between the B main and A main, we saw a nice little fireworks show, something Williams Grove thoroughly enjoys doing with these big events. And then we got to the 30-lap main event. Anthony Macri and Chad Trout drew the front row positions. Troy Wagaman, after those issues with his right rear in his heat race, was unable to get out onto the track, which is very crucial for him because he was 3rd place in points coming into the night. So he would register at 24th at the end of it, and that was an unfortunate situation for the Hefner team. On the start of the race, Anthony Macri got a huge jump into turn number 1, and another car that got a really big start was Devin Borden. He was absolutely cooking and passing cars left and right. On lap number 6, we saw Anthony Macri catch lapped traffic, and even though he was so far ahead and had to figure out a way around these cars, he was threading very well until we got to lap 11, when he caught a little bit of a break, and we had a caution come out. In turn number 4, Ryan Smith smacked the wall, came to a stop, and that was how we lined him back up. On the restart from lap 11, Devin Borden was already halfway through the field in 12th position with Macri leading, and on the green flag, pretty spread out for a little while. Lap traffic part 2 came along, and Anthony Macri was able to take plenty care of getting around those slower cars. Anthony Macri was puffing smoke for a lot of the race, but it wasn't coming out of the pipe. It was just coming out of the engine, so I like to call that puking, where it's basically the oil just gets into places it shouldn't and it kind of makes smoke, but there's no harm going on. Was kind of watching that throughout the course of the feature, but it did not cause any issues, and it didn't look like it was anything serious.
With 4 laps to go, Logan Schuchart was able to take 3rd place from Brent Marks for a brief second, right after Brent Marks gave a charge to Chad Trout, who had been running in 2nd place this entire time. So within the last 4 laps of the race, we saw 2nd, 3rd, and 4th group up. They were exchanging positions, but it didn't end up leading to anything. They were unable to catch, and Anthony Macri was able to take the win again tonight. After Anthony Macri passed the start-finish line, Ryan Taylor spun, and Dylan Norris was unable to avoid contact, and he hit him. So pretty much as soon as Macri was under the checkered flag, they had to throw the yellow, and that was the end of the race. Anthony Macri over Chad Trout, Brent Marks, Logan Schuchart, and Freddie Raymer for your top 5. Rest of the top 10 on the screen here. Danny Dietrich ended up 8th place tonight, and what that means is Anthony Macri has taken the points lead of Pennsylvania Speedweek. On the screen here, you'll see the rundown of the top 10 in points, and this is a turning point in the week, as up to this point we had seen Danny Dietrich with the lead, basically a result of Macri crashing in the first race, and very slowly the Macri Motorsports car catching up points by points over the course of the program, over the championship, and tonight he passed him. So tomorrow we go to Port Royal, and we're going to see if Gary Kaufman Racing has what they need to get those 36 and maybe 37 points they need to jump back into the championship lead. But especially with Troy Wagaman not starting this feature, it's come down to the 48 and the 39M. So we'll be interested to see what happens there. I got to give a shout out in the outro of this video to our main man Curtis, our buddy Matt's neighbor. He said, you guys got to look styling and profiling at the track tonight. So he handed us some shirts to wear tonight. So we're repping you, Curtis. Thank you. I got to thank Matt Faust behind the camera, as always, because he is the rock of the broadcasts and the videos here on this channel for Speed Week. We got Seth here, we got Nate here, we had Cole here, we had Hunter here, we had Landon here, we had Dak here, we had a whole bunch of people here that we were hanging out with. Nate's dad, he's a cool guy. I love my Nate's dad time. But that's it. That's the show. Hope you enjoyed it. Williams Grove. I like Williams Grove. The racing tonight was okay, but the facility is very nice. I enjoy it here. So thank you for watching. We'll see you from the Speed Palace tomorrow.